Andrew Rannells plays Blair in Black Monday, the Showtime comedy series. Oh, just in case I didn't start recording, I'll start that intro again. Andrew Rannells plays Blair in the Showtime series Black Monday. That's midway through its second season. I'm at Noble Gold Derby here to ask you, Andrew, what of all the scripts you've gotten has surprised you most in Black Monday?
It's, you know what, it's the most honest answer, but it's these last couple episodes that haven't aired yet. Something happens in 208 that I was really sort of floored by, and I was like, are we really gonna do this? And that was the one that I was most sort of shocked by. So I'm very curious. I mean, this has been months ago now that we've filmed this, so it's always, there's that little bit of a delay to figure out like how our audience is going to react to this, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think, you know, David Jordan takes some really big swings for a half-hour comedy, and you know, oftentimes I think tonally we are in a really fun way kind of all over the map, but there's certainly a lot of drama this season in a way that I think is unexpected for a half-hour comedy.
Yeah, and what's of something we've already seen in season 1 or 2? What's a big swing that you think the show's taken? And just as you answer the question, I'm going to turn my camera off just so you take up more of the screen.
Oh, okay. I thought that the finale of the first season was pretty shocking, in that we had a character played by Bruce Dern. We had him die by falling off of a building, which was not something I saw coming in our half-hour comedy format. So I think when we got that script and we were like, oh, so people are dying now. Okay. That was a little unexpected. And, you know, Bruce Dern, who's a Hollywood legend,
yeah,
come on the show only to throw him off a roof. So what can you do? But he was game for it, so that was good. But that was shocking to me. That was a big that was a moment that I was surprised that that's sort of what we were going to be doing. But David and Jordan have always said, you know, since we started the show, that they were going to do that. They're going to sort of push it as far as they could within this half-hour format. So it's great that they keep doing it.
Yeah. Your character Blair in the show, we see him develop quite a lot throughout season 1 of the series, and the Blair we see at the beginning of season 2 is very different from the Blair we see at the beginning of season 1. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think he's come into his own in a way. I think that the shine of being new, sort of optimism about the way he's going to do business is completely flown out the window now, and he is really just sort of come into his own for the moment of this is how he wants to do business, and this is going to be that guy now on. So it's been a really fun flip to get to play.
Yeah, and so what was it like coming into season 2 and sort of playing this sort of new Blair in a lot of ways for you, and what was some of the challenges associated with that?
I think that the biggest challenge was not thinking of him as any kind of villain. I think that everybody has their own sort of motivations, and as these last few episodes air, I think you'll see where it gets a little trickier, because he seems like kind of crossed over into something very deceitful and very dark, and but just trying to remember sort of where he came from and where he's coming from, and trying to keep all of that in the forefront of my mind and not play that I think he's a bad guy, or I think he's, you know, doing things that are shady. That was tricky. That was tricky. Again, particularly as you see these last few episodes, I think they'll be like, oh, okay, well, didn't see that coming.
How are you, Andrew, most like Blair, and how are you most not like Blair?
I think that I am most like Blair. It's funny. I was in the Book of Mormon on Broadway, and I played the character named Elder Price who he shows up to go on his mission, and he's very optimistic and very confident in his own skills, and then very quickly learns after being sent to Uganda that things are not going to work out as he initially had planned. And it's the first time I've gotten to play something that is very similar to that like I feel with Blair, that's also sort of his path, that he shows up on Wall Street and he's ready to take it over and do it his way. And then he realizes, no, I have to compromise everything that I thought I was doing just to get ahead. So of me that really does sort of not that I did anything horrible, I don't think. When I moved to New York City in 1997, I was like, I'm gonna be a Broadway star and I'm just gonna do it, and it's gonna be so simple. And it was a little harder than I thought it was gonna be. So I think that's where I relate to these characters most, is that was sort of an optimism that kind of gets knocked off of you as you hang out a little bit longer. And I'm most not like him. I never felt like I needed to marry a woman.
Yeah.
I love Casey Wilson, and maybe we would have gotten married. But yeah, I don't feel like I needed to do that ever to get ahead.
There you go. Not even in Broadway. No.
Not, especially not on.
Yeah. There's a lot of issues that this show deals with, a lot of big issues, and one of the sort of cool things about this show is that we can sort of look back on the 80s and look at what we've learnt and how we've moved forward as a community, and basically maybe haven't moved as far as we'd like to move forward. What do you think the biggest lesson we have from Black Monday for today is?
Well, I think that we played around with this in the first season. We did this really sort of over the top sexual harassment seminar in the office, where someone comes in and talks to the office about how to behave appropriately in the office. And I think, as we read it, it was, so funny and so over the top, but we were filming it sort of the beginning of what would become the Me Too movement, and then realizing that, oh yeah, I guess we haven't really come that far, because a lot of people still don't know how to behave properly in a workplace. And so that was kind of it wasn't quite as funny as I think we thought it was going to be while we were filming it. I mean, I think it turned out to be sort of really sort of shocking and over the top. But when we really looked back at it, we were like, oh yeah, it's not really that different. And I think that the sexism they explore with Regina Hall's character specifically, and even with Casey Wilson's character, that, she feels like her only option was to get married at this time. And we're not talking about that long ago. So I feel like that's where a lot of those storylines kind of come up, and you're like, well, I wish we were a little bit further ahead than we are right now. And we started to deal with some, about, gay conversion therapy with Tuck Watkins' character, having that done. It's so, that was something that was done in the 80s, unfortunately. So it doesn't feel like that long ago, but hopefully there have been some more progress made than not, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the stuff like gay conversion therapy's been done in different ways much more recently too. So so there's definitely a lot of lessons to learn. I think one of the really sort of things that struck me with particularly that sexual harassment type scene that you guys did was when the person's trying to advocate for women, but he's saying all the wrong things, and there's sort of he thinks he's being the real voice for women empowerment, but he's actually saying quite horrible. And I think it's reflective of probably times when I say things as well. I think there's a lot of lessons to learn.
Yeah, I think it's particularly right now, I feel like oftentimes the best thing we can do to understand someone else's perspective is just to listen.
Yeah.
And I think I think we're all sort of amped up to lend our voices and jump in there. But I know, personally speaking, I don't always know the best thing to say. I don't always know how to help. So I feel like the best way to do that is to ask and then listen for the answer and then see how you can be of service. But yeah, because I oftentimes do not know what I'm talking about. That's what I'll tell you.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat, Andrew. What I think I thought one of the funnest episodes for you this season was the 4 episode, the golf.
Yes.
The golfing episode. Do you want to talk us a bit about that one and what it was like sort of filming that?
I love that episode. It was, as a kid, I loved Three's Company. And it was probably the closest to zany 80s comedy I was ever going to get to being in. I felt like I got to be Jack Tripper for a moment. It was so much fun. And Regina and I, up to that point in that season, hadn't gotten to spend a lot of time on set together because we were our storylines had sort of split at the beginning of the season. So that was really the first time that we got to come back and do something together. And I just love working with her so much. And then on top of that, June Diane Raphael and Tuck Watkins were so hilarious, and I think added such a great a great tone to those scenes. Regina and I sometimes really swing for the fences comedically. So it was great to have 2 people who were slightly more reserved and maybe dropped in than we were. So it was a really fun couple of days getting to shoot at that golf course. So that's one of my favorites too. I think of the whole time we've been working on it.
Yeah. Do you play golf, Andrew?
Never.
No.
Never played golf. So that part was very easy to not know how to do it. I've played some miniature golf, but never have I seriously even considered trying to play golf. I don't know. Maybe as I get older, that's something that will come up, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm a real golf guy.
Yeah. I played a bit of golf. I prefer miniature golf. But I think you're doing fine if you just play miniature golf.
It's a shorter time commitment. Yeah. Feel like hours on a golf course. I don't know if if I could handle that.
Yeah. What scenes do you find the funniest or maybe the most enjoyable to shoot?
I have such a good time with Casey Wilson and Regina Hall. I have a great time with everybody, but those ladies really make me laugh, and I'm often paired with them a lot in these, particularly Casey and I. And she just makes me laugh so much. And we had a couple. We just saw our, most shows at the end of the season, they do like a blooper reel or a gag reel where things that went wrong. And all of the things with Casey and I are just us laughing at each other. Because it's really hard. And sometimes it's either very early in the morning or it's very late at night, and you just get a little punchy, and your focus kind of goes out the window a little bit, and you have to remind yourself that, okay, we're making a television show right now. But she makes me laugh so much, and so I love working with those ladies.
Like when you've worked with someone for like sort of 2 years and you enjoy working with them and things like that, I imagine you sort of make each other better in a sense, and you learn a lot from each other. Yeah. What have you learnt from Casey? How sort of she made you better, and what do you think's worked for that dynamic over the 2 years?
She is she's very precise in her comedy. Which is, it seems very sort of like freewheeling and very improvisational, but she's very focused, and it's helpful because I think that the wheels can come off pretty easily if everybody's just kind of like laughing and cutting up, and when you do scenes with her, it is really fun, and it is really exciting and funny and easy to do, but she's also so focused that you have to meet her on her level, which is fantastic. Regina is like that too, where she just, and Don as well, that Don plots things out in a way that it looks very spontaneous, but he has a plan to what he's doing, which is great, because I oftentimes do not, and just kind of go and I'm like, well, figure this out. So it makes me want to, step up and also, be focused in that same way. So Regina's also taught me a lot professionally. Her attitude never changes when it comes to working. It can be 5 a.m., it could be 3 a.m. She's always very positive and very kind and very focused, and she keeps things really light and easy. Sometimes particularly if you're tired, I can tend to sort of like shut down a little bit, but with her, it's important for everybody, for the energy of the crew and the energy of the writers there, to like keep it up and keep the energy up, and she's so good at it. So she's always a good reminder to step up. So basically everybody just makes me feel bad about myself.
Sure. What do you think, do you get to improv much on the show?
Yeah, we do. I mean, what I think I learned on Girls, that was a really important lesson, because we started off, and the first several episodes I did on Girls, we improvised a lot. And I loved it, and it was scary but exciting, and I loved doing it. But the writing on Girls and the writing on Black Monday is really good, and it oftentimes you're not going to beat what those writers have put on the page. So you might have an idea for like a line here or there just to kind of like loosen it up, or make it sound more conversational or whatever. But for the most part, the big jokes we don't have to worry about, because that's all already in the script. So I like to do it when it seems natural and when it seems called for, but I'm learning the more that I work on camera that it's just not always needed. So sometimes just stick to the script.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite line you or someone else on the cast has improvised?
Yeah, it was I think it's in the first episode of this season where Regina is yelling at the office. She basically flips and turns into Mo, and she starts screaming. I don't know what profanity is acceptable, but she starts yelling.
Whatever you want. Whatever you want, Andrew.
She just starts yelling at this woman named Karen. And I don't know if she named her Karen. I'm pretty sure she did. Maybe not. Maybe not. She just starts yelling at this actress and, telling her not to cry. And it's so hilarious to me. And the second I saw it, I was like, because I wasn't on set that day, but I saw it and I was like, oh, Regina made that up. Regina made that whole rant. And I called her and she was like, well, maybe I did. And I was like, so good. She's so fun. So funny.
That's great. What's the most what's the thing that when you go into work on Black Monday that you find the most special or that brings you the most joy?
I think that everybody is so excited about being there. I think that's the best part about it, is that we show up to work and everybody, I think, is really happy to be there, and the tone on that set is one of everybody feeling very grateful and engaged and excited, and I think that's the best part. Not every job is like that, when people show up and they're excited to work. So it's pretty, that's a very special part about it.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for spending some time with us talking about Black Monday.
Thanks for having me, and I hope all is well in Australia.
Yeah, well,
I just worked with the Crown Princess of Australia, Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. What have you done with her?
We just finished a movie that Ryan Murphy directed called The Prom, which is based on a Broadway musical from last year. It'll be out later this fall. But she was just a riot, and I loved her. I just loved her. Yeah, that's all.
Oh, great. hopefully we can chat when that movie comes out. That'd be really cool. Yeah, no, she's fantastic, and she's getting better and better, isn't she?
She's just incredible. She's incredible. We had met a couple times, and I knew her a little bit, but then the day we did our camera tests, I was watching her do her camera test, and it was so fascinating because I was like, oh, that's a movie star. He's a movie star. Anyway, I fell in love with her, so there you go.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thanks so much for chatting with us. All the best luck with the Emmys. People watching this interview, you can go to goldderby.com to make your own Emmy predictions. You can predict Black Monday and Andrew and Don and Regina and Casey and everyone if you want, or other people, whatever you want to predict. And get into the forums and you can chat and watch other contender interviews. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks, Andrew. It was a lot of fun again. Lovely to talk again and stay safe up there, okay?
Yes. All right. Thank you.